A person who is grieving, they may undergo emotional and psychological distress, such as having shock, disbelief.
He was the center of my life, and then he's gone. There was even a point where I couldn't go to a place where there's so many people.
Because the mental health is affecting the productivity of the person. When we know that a person is happy, a person is mentally healthy, of course, mas magagawa niya ng maayos yung task niya.
Anyone who has experienced the loss of someone or something they love can tell you that it's one of life's biggest challenges. And the pain associated with it can be overwhelming. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Join me as we learn more about the meaning of grief and how best to overcome the challenges that come with it. Welcome to Med Talk, Health Talk. A normal part of life is to experience some form of personal loss at some point. But by understanding the stages and the kinds of grief, we may be able to find healthier ways in which to cope. Now, to tell us more about this, we're joined by Rina Novales, who's a member of Healing Circles, which is a grief support group. We're also joined by psychologist Rainier Ladik. Welcome to both of you on Med Talk, Health Talk. Now, I'll start the discussion first with Rainier. Rainier, could you please define for us what is grief exactly? Ano ba ibig sabihin when someone says, I am grieving?
Okay. Well, grief is a natural response to loss. So some other people know when they're grieving, they experience this profound sorrow or sadness upon losing someone else. So nararanasan natin yung grief when we lose somebody that is very dear to us, or even when we lose a pet, or when we experience breakup, or at times when someone na dear to us has been diagnosed with a lifelong disorder.
Okay. So would you say that grief is predominantly an emotional state? It's an emotional state of a person, but every person deals with grief differently. Can you describe what a person may feel when they experience grief? What is expected to feel?
All right. So a person who is grieving, they may undergo emotional and psychological distress, such as having shock, disbelief. They may feel that they're numbing, and they feel dissociated. They feel angry, they are bargaining, then eventually they can also feel depression, then they can also sometimes have suicidal ideations.
Okay. Now, in the late 1960s, there was a psychiatrist who actually came up with 5 stages in which one deals with grief. Could you talk about this, Rainier, briefly?
So the Kubler-Ross model, this talks about the 5 stages of grief, wherein the first one is denial, wherein the person is incapable of accepting the reality yet. The next is we have here the anger, wherein the person might be angry towards another person, towards the self, wherein the person might feel regretful, or they have feelings of guilt, or they may also get angry towards God. Na parang, for instance, bakit ninyo hinayaan na mangyari sa akin to, or maranasan ko to. Then another stage of it is bargaining, wherein the person may have this wishful thinking na gagawin ko to in exchange for another moment with this person. Then there's another stage, which is depression, wherein this is profound sadness, seemingly na may absence of happiness. The person feels helpless, hopeless, not motivated to do anything, and they could be eventually having this suicidal ideation. Then last one is the acceptance, wherein the person come to terms with the grief, wherein nagkakaroon ng resolution, but then the acceptance does not mean that the pain will go away.
Now, Rina, glad to have you here. Please tell us, at one point in your life, were you able to experience this level of grief towards someone, or the loss for someone?
In the beginning, it was a sudden death with my husband. He was just playing basketball, and then he just collapsed, and that was it. So it was sudden. So maybe in the denial, the first stage, it was parang it was just like I felt like it was just a dream, and I am I really dreaming? And then you see all these people, and then, no, it's not. It's a reality. And then I wasn't aware of the stages. I was just feeling everything.
That's right.
It's just that after siguro a few months that I tried to, understand what it is that I'm feeling. Because I was 32 at the time. So it basically that is a stage where we just started a family. So all my friends, they're all like, starting up a family, or they have, toddlers. So my kids were 3 and 5 years old at the time. So it was just really a start palang of having that family. And then biglang ganon. So I don't know anyone who's experienced. I mean, I have so many questions. I don't know who to ask. And then I saw this, I've been praying. Yun lang talaga naman ang alam ko. So I just saw this sa TV, about healing circles. Because I've been praying na, who do I talk to? I can't talk to my friends because they can't relate. And sometimes, all your friends or your family members, they mean well, but sometimes they say things that parang they don't know it's gonna hurt you.
That's exactly right, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. Are there good questions to ask? Are there not so good questions to ask someone who is grieving? But I'd like to ask you, Rina, we know that grieving affects someone emotionally. How did it affect you psychologically?
It's not naman the suicidal thing or something, no, or because maybe it helped a lot that I have this intimate relationship with God. So I tell him everything, and then I was telling Rainer a while ago. I was telling him about this. It helped me a lot when you write something kasi parang it's helping you to get it to be used to, or to go through it by saying all, kasi there's so many there's much sadness, and you're not able to function as you were parang yun nga, it's a new normal. Parang noon pa yun parang when that happened, alam ko na yung new normal, because it's not normal. This is not the usual.
Right. I'd like to ask Rainier that. Is that typical for someone who is trying to overcome grief, that they're trying to get back to the state before the loss or the tragedy happened, as opposed to accepting this new normal?
Actually, that is what we call as a coping strategy or a compensation, because there might be not anyone around her na pwede niyang kausapin at that moment. So even by writing it down, it can create this sense of relief, wherein it could vent out, or it can just spill out lahat ng mga nararamdaman niya, and through that kahit papaano is that kung ano man yung nasa sa loobin niya, nasa isip niya, is na-express pa rin siya.
Okay. When we return, we'll be talking more about what it's like as one goes through the grieving process. So stay with us here on Med Talk, Health Talk. When we experience any type of loss or traumatic event, we most likely go through a grieving process. Now, to give us more insight on how to go through this process, we are still joined by psychologist Rainier Ladik, and also we are joined by Rina Novales, who is a member of Healing Circles. Now, continuing with our discussion on grief, Rina, at what point did you feel that you've moved on or everything was getting better?
It's when I became functional. Because in the beginning, I couldn't function. As I've said, parang you're numb, or it's like I felt like I was a baby who doesn't know where to go. Parang there's the center, I don't even know which is left or which is right. It's that kind of parang shock, I guess, because it was very sudden. So that alone, parang I don't know. There was a point that I don't even know how to compose a sentence. I don't know if that's normal, but there were so many things that maybe because he was the center of my life and then he's gone, so I don't, if that's the center, you don't know which is left or which is right. There was even a point where I couldn't go to a place where there's so many people. like going to the grocery or going to places where we've been to. And seeing people who are happy or complete, that was a different.
So it's more of a gradual thing,
Yeah.
Rina. It wasn't just all of a sudden one day you
No,
woke up
no.
and everything's great
It
and you
was
could function. So it was a gradual process,
yeah.
which you were able to move through day by day.
Yeah.
Now, Rainier, for an experience like Rina, is her grief similar to someone, say, who experienced a loss that was more expected? Rina's loss was more sudden, as opposed to someone who was more expected, maybe someone who has a terminal illness, who knows they sort of prepare for it, they can expect that the end will come. Is the grief process similar for both situations?
Well, actually, research say that the grief response is different from people who have experienced sudden loss as compared to those that they have somehow anticipated about it. Now, the reason for this is because there's like no time to anticipate it. It's like the person cannot self-regulate to bring their emotions to that moment wherein they're going to lose someone very important to them. So therefore, they can experience a lot of distress within them, and it's going to be like very shocking. The first few moments that you hear about it, it's just surreal because it just brings you to the moment na kanina okay pa lang siya or okay lang siya. Then all of a sudden, yun na.
Now, Rina, earlier we were talking with Rainier about the sensitivity that people around you would have, especially during the immediate time of grieving. Could you relate any personal experiences? Was what Rainier said a match with how you felt?
People will say, they will say, you have to be strong. So I guess that's not something that you should say to someone who's grieving or who just lost a husband. Na parang there's so many pressures na, then you're gonna tell the person you have to be strong for the kids. Maybe the right thing to do or say is just hug the person that I'm here, just like what you said. Because parang there's another, parang, can I just not be strong now because my husband died? And diba, people, that's the normal thing that people say, you have to be strong for the kids. Parang, wait, pwede after na lang.
Now, I'd like to talk to you, Rainier, about some red flags wherein typically we want to see grieving is a normal process, but we'd like to see red flags in which it already could be a disorder. Now, we're talking about the Kubler-Ross model earlier, which was formulated in the late 60s.
Yes.
Is this still the current belief now on how grief is absorbed or manifested?
Pwede sila mag-adapt within a 6-month period to 2 years within this duration. Now, the criteria of this prolonged grief disorder is that after 12 months for adults and after 6 months ng losing someone of our kids, and if there are no significant changes in how they feel, like for an instance, they have been still yearning and preoccupied about the death of someone, they experience identity disruption wherein still a big part of them has been taken away, then still in denial pa rin sila, even if it has been long forth, like that has happened or occurred. Then eventually, if there's still dysfunction, hindi sila makakonsentrate ng mabuti sa eskwela, sa trabaho, in their social relationships. So therefore, this could be some of the red flags wherein the grieving is becoming like maladaptive for the individual.
Now, Rina, what advice could you give someone who might be watching this, who is in some form of grief right now and is just wondering, will it get any better?
I guess the first thing talaga is your faith in Him. Because that helped me a lot. Sabi ko, God, it's okay if I'm a sinner, that I will go through this pain, but not my children growing up without a father. But they will not grow up without a father. I am their father. I will protect them. I will be there to protect them, and I will be there to just to be there, and they won't be alone.
Now, Rainier, how about you? What advice can you give those who are going through grief? How can they get through it better, maybe cope with it better? And some advice also for the loved ones around who are unsure how to act around those who are grieving.
So if it is very painful at that time, I tell them it's okay to have a momentary escape. Change your environment, go travel, go somewhere. And then in that moment, collect your thoughts, collect your courage, and then when you are ready, go back to the reality, face the situation. Then it's also very essential, no, for the person to have a supportive environment, such as what Ma'am Rina, no, has joined into. Yung mga support groups kasi, no, it's instilling within us this what we call a shared experience. That's why, parang pakiramdam ng isang tao is hindi siya nag-iisa doon sa kanyang nararamdaman. Because when we are in distress, kumbaga parang kinukulong tayo ng mga pakiramdam na yan that makes us to feel, that we are alone. Then of course, it's very important at the end of the day, for an instance, the person feels like he or she does not have enough support system, consider consulting to a mental health professional. Wherein the mental health professional will be able to design some objective intervention program that will help the person to process what they are experiencing.
So thank you very much, Rainier. Thank you very much, Rina, for sharing your experiences and expertise as well on this very challenging topic of trying to get a hold of, cope with grief. So thank you very much for joining us here. Now, in today's reality, stress and anxiety are increasingly common. When we return, we'll talk about ways to manage this as well as keep a healthy disposition. So keep it here on Med Talk, Health Talk. Many of us have been forced to deal with a lot of things that may cause anxiety, stress, and even situational depression. That's why we need to take steps in our everyday in order to take care of our mental health. Now, to talk more about this, we have with us psychologist Kia De Castro. Hello and welcome, Kia.
Hi, sir. Good day, Doc.
I'm sure you deal with a lot of people every day that concern their mental well-being. Kumbaga, bakit napaka-importante na alagaan ng isang tao ang kanyang mental health?
Because the mental health is affecting the productivity of the person. Secondly, the quality of life. When we know that a person is happy, a person is mentally healthy, of course, mas magagawa niya ng maayos yung task niya. Aral man yan or trabaho man yan. It is really better if you have a sound body wherein your sound mind is also there.
Now, stress commonly causes fatigue, anxiety, and even some form of situational depression that might happen. Ano pa ba yung ibang mga causes ng pagpababa ng productivity ng isang tao aside from stress?
We have our predisposing and precipitating factors that leads to mental health problems, no? First, when we talk about the predisposing factors, andyan ang genetics. We cannot remove that every person is a biological being, no? So if ito ay namana mo from the family, of course it would affect you. If your body is not healthy because of some medical disorders that you have, that would affect your mental health. And when we talk about precipitating factors, these are the events that are happening in your life na masasabi nating it triggers the predisposing factors. Just like the pandemic, no? So wala ka naman talagang mental health problem, but because it happened, the problem emerged. Or even sudden changes in your life, changes in career, developmental shift. So these are examples of our precipitating factors.
So marami talagang factors dito, Kia, no, that can affect someone's mental well-being. Is there any way that we can overcome these stressors of our mental health?
When we talk about mental health, we talk about the biopsychosocial model. So to alleviate the mental stressors that we have, of course, you have to improve your biological body. You have to maintain your health. Kailangan healthy ka. And when we talk about our psychological self, of course, you have to enhance your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-efficacy. It's very important. And social support is also very important kasi nobody lives alone. We have to depend also on other people.
Kia, ang mental health nga naman ng isang tao ay napaka-importante, but can simple diet and lifestyle changes have a significant effect sa mental well-being ng isang tao?
Our mental well-being is also dependent on routines, and having significant changes of the diet and the lifestyle of the person increases also the possibility of having better well-being. Because right now, di ba, kaya ka lang naman mag-i-improve ng iyong diet at iyong lifestyle is because there is something dysfunctional. And from an expert, from a point of view of an expert, if this is changed, ibig sabihin, there is still something for you to improve on. And that will lead to a better self of you.
We've been talking about how lifestyle changes dietary changes do have a benefit. But nowadays, we hear a lot of things that can help supplement these bodies' ways in trying to alleviate mental health. And one of them are superfoods like acai berry. Now, ano kaya ang benefits ng superfoods meron para sa mental health ng isang tao?
Most of these superfoods have antioxidants. That's very important. And we know that antioxidants are very rich in brain foods, no, brain nutrients. So these superfoods are able to regenerate, to supply, no, the oxygen, the nutrients that our brain needs, leading to improved memory, improved productivity, improved general health. Kaya kapag ang body natin ay maayos, no, if it was able to function, its different, functions, no, kapag nagagawa niya ng maayos, it leads to better mental health. The confidence is also better to a person kapag ikaw ay healthy. Physically, nakikita mo man internal or external, it makes your mental health better.
You mentioned how superfoods, kaya something is called a superfood is because marami siyang antioxidants. Now, we also see a lot of research on acai berry na marami nga itong antioxidants. Ano bang benefits ng pagkain ng mga superfoods like acai berry?
Taking acai berry improves, sabi nga natin kanina, the holistic well-being of the person. More than just the brain of the person, eating superfoods improved also your lifestyle because it's also improving your way of eating. And when you eat good food, you have a good self. No, so generally eating good like these superfoods improves your general health, your general well-being, and even in the productivity side that we have been mentioning a while ago.
Now, napakadaming tips ang natutunan namin with you today, Kia, especially when it comes to our mental health. But before we go, do you have any advice para sa ating mga viewers, especially when it comes to their mental well-being?
For our viewers in general, take care of your holistic self. Sabi nga natin, we have to take care of your body because that is our primary puhunan in everything that we do in school or at work. So take care of your body. Secondly, prioritize yourself. Psychologically, you have to be okay. And always do not forget to also depend on other people because we always have social support to keep us going and to keep us sane all the time. So if you have a happy body, a sound mind, and a healthy relationship with other people, that will make us generally happy.
Okay, very nice and practical tips there, Kia. Now to our viewers, if we take steps in our everyday to take care of not just our physical but our mental health as well, we can better prepare ourselves for what life has to throw at us. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and thank you for joining us here on MedTalk Health Talk.